Local businessman pledges college tuition to third graders.
Michael, why did you promise that?
To change lives?
No, Michael, why would you promise that?
You know, okay, call the school, cancel. I can't go through with this.
We've already rescheduled 7 times. Michael, this is a terrible, terrible thing you've done.
Well,
it's terrible.
No.
Just terrible. And the longer you put it off, the worse it's gonna get.
I fell in love with these kids, and I didn't want to see them fall victim to the system. So I made them a promise. I told them that if they graduated from high school, I would pay for their college education. I've made some empty promises in my life, but hands down, that was the most generous. Just tell me it is going to be okay, all right?
No!
I'm not a bad news person. I bring good news. Like when I promised those kids I'd pay for college. Oh.
So I decided to add that clip from The Office to add a little humor aspect before my presentation. In that video, Michael Scott promises third graders to pay for their college tuition when they graduate high school because he is afraid for them to fall victim to the system. In my essay, I talked about the system that Michael mentions. I wrote about college tuition and how expensive it is. I'm sure many of y'all in class would agree that college is way too expensive currently. The average cost of tuition has doubled in the last 2 decades, even when taking into account for inflation. Not to mention, the number of students graduating with debt keeps on getting higher and higher each year. In my essay, I spoke about different ways to make college more affordable. I believe that if anyone wants to pursue a further education, they should be able to, and not be stopped strictly because of money. Education is one of the most important factors in a successful culture or community. One of my first conclusions or ideas that I brainstormed and then researched was simply to make the government pay for it. The United States has the availability to make college exponentially cheaper or even free, but the country decides not to. The U.S. has to make sure not to overspend in their national federal budget every year. We usually see them staying in budget in every section except for when it comes to Homeland Security, which includes military, which I will be talking about more specifically. I'm sure that nobody's surprised that the U.S. spends more money on our military than any other nation in the world. For example, $725 billion were spent strictly in the military in 2020. I understand the military makes some citizens feel more safe, but we eventually have to draw a line to what is reasonable. The $725 billion are also not spent as effectively as we would like to see. As a quote from Congressman Barney Frank reads, "We must remain the most powerful nation on earth militarily. We must defend ourselves against terrorism. We must protect our citizens and our national interests, and fully provide for our troops in the field. But we must make a realistic assessment of our security needs. We can no longer be the world's policeman, and we cannot afford to subsidize the defense of our wealthy allies." So that's the quote. I believe if the government took some money from our Homeland Security budget and put it into our education, it would be a great investment and would overall benefit everyone. Another reason college is so expensive that I discussed in my essay comes strictly from the individual universities themselves. There is a loose line to what a university can charge and what they cannot. With more students attending college every year, you would think you would see more competition between universities, causing them to try to be more affordable than the other. Yet that's not the reality, and it's even quite the opposite. The truth is, as students like me and you are paying thousands of dollars a semester to attend a college, we don't receive full transparency to where our money is actually going. It is said that out of every $100 you give to a university, only $61 are actually going to necessities, such as salary for staff, utility and resources. The other $39 goes to research, or just expanding the university's size. This is a main problem we see as universities try to grow by adding nicer features or newer things in hopes to attract more students so the university can make more money. This comes down to where you stand ethically. When should a university stop trying to expand and grow in hopes to lower the tuition cost? We live in such a materialistic world that it does not seem like any option is perfect right now. But by making little changes over time, we'll eventually get to where we want and create a better future for not only college students, but for everyone in the country, because the educated nation is a strong nation.